Hey everybody, it is time for your favorite show once again. That is the Poncho's Paint Booth. This way, right here. You can see it. It's right above me. Where I fulfill all my hobby and painting needs, or well, most of them anyway. Real quick, if you haven't already done so, go to the corner, like, subscribe, Multi-Murdy Media. That is my YouTube channel that you're currently watching, and you will get this playlist, the Paint Booth. You will also get the Gutsy Ass Gamer. That is my video games and Twitch playthroughs, stuff like that. Mostly just one at the moment. There's going to be two though pretty soon here, or maybe already, depending on when this comes out. I don't know. Who cares? And you will also get the video format to the Jankety Ass Podcast, which is video. And if you prefer to listen, we're also on every podcasting platform, or at least all the major ones, and a bunch of other ones in between. So, no excuse, you can find me anywhere. And if you stay tuned to the end of this video, you will see the end slate where I have all the links to my socials, or at least my business socials, and the website where you can also get links to all my socials. And also my paint gallery for all the stuff I do for this show. Which, speaking of this show, this time we are working on back into the Necrons and the Destroyer cult as well. This time we are working on the Lokhust Heavy Destroyers. Big old dudes on gravity platforms with big guns. And what's nice about the way these guys are modeled is they just attach to the base on a pin, so that makes it easier to kind of do both at the same time. Also, I don't really have actually I do have a holder now that's big enough, but that doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and come down here to our workspace. And you'll see that I actually have 3 of these guys to do. Again, all separated from the bases for the moment. So, like I said, these guys are Destroyer cult as well. Much like the, what are the others I did? The Scorpic Destroyers I did quite some time ago, and the Scorpic Lord, which came out a few weeks ago as well. And by came out, I mean my video, not the models have been out for almost a year now, it seems. It's been a while. So, got one up here. Now, these guys are actually... So there's the regular Lokhust Destroyers, which are still the same model. But then there were the heavy ones, which until recently was just like an upgrade kit, and they kind of look like shit. But with the release of the new Necrons for 9th edition game, they made new models for the heavy guys, and that's what these are. They look nice. And so I currently have them all equipped with the Gauss Destructor, which is in the game, single shot, high damage, just messes things up. The other option that these guys came with, which is new, is the Enmitic Annihilator, which is basically meant for like clearing out hordes and stuff. But I have a lot of other options to do that, and not as many for like anti-tank and heavy capacity. So that's what I went with. Now, I am still, of course, using the same scheme as I was with my other Necrons, so that means that we're going to be starting out with the Steel Gray. That is kind of like our, it's like a dull middle blue type of color. Let's see, there's something else I needed. Here we go. And then there's a lot of, kind of like wear and tear sort of damage, quote unquote, that's modeled into these guys. And for the blue sections, that is going to be done with Drakenhof Nightshade. Actually, I need to double check something here. Yeah. And so what this is going to be done on is it's going to be the arms and the arm plates, the face, or is it part of the face. There is kind of like a metal plate over it. And then also the chest piece here. And a little bit on the hips down here as well. In contrast, whenever we get to the skimmer base that he's on, that's actually going to be done up more like some of the canoptic stuff that I did earlier. So you might remember whenever I did up the Silent King a while back, the actual throne was like the black with the blue outlines. That's what this is these parts are going to be. And then of course there's, different tech parts kind of all throughout the whole thing. So, but for now, we're going to stick with the blue. And I got 3 guys to do. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so we got a nice skin layer on these guys. And by skin, I of course mean, well, body, skin, whatever it's called. Shell. Thing? I don't know. You see we got a nice blue going on all over. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is get in there with the Drakenhof Nightshade and get some of the recesses and cracks and of course like the ribs and stuff like that, as well as the details in the face. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Easy peasy. That's our wash done. And so now, as always, we're going to go ahead and let these guys dry off, and then we will continue by actually finishing up the blue surfaces, but more of that soon. Alright, time to continue on with these dudes. Now, as you can see off camera, I went ahead and put a base layer on these bases just because it's a big surface and I didn't really feel like it was worth showing. And I've done the same thing with some of my other Necrons. Like I said, it's the same paint scheme, so, whatever. But what I'm going to do now is we're going to go ahead and finish the carapace of these. Actually, I'm not sure if that's it, because this thing will be more of a carapace. We're going to finish up the skin, the blue sections, and what I'm going to do with those is we are going to, or I am going to, dry brush over it with scorpion green. And what that's going to do is it's going to get this bright green all over the edges of the blue here. So it'll kind of look like it's what's the word? Not translucent, but like it's color shifting a bit, but it's fake. It's a fake look. So it's a non-shift shift. And then actually speaking of the bases, just to kind of get some other stuff done, because I don't want to dive too deep into some of the other stuff yet. I got other shit to do today, but I'm going to go ahead and also do up the rocks and the bit of concrete on these bases, and that's going to be with our ash gray, which is the lightest gray that I have. Or actually, no, it's the second lightest gray I have now, but it's the one that I've been using normally for this type of stuff. And then this gray is, I am also going to use it later for some other stuff, so we'll come back to it, but for now, it's just going to be for the rocks. And I am going to start with the green. I should actually make sure I'm prepared. Get my dry brush out here. So, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so you know what? That's pretty much all I want to do with these guys today, for now. So I'm going to put this back, let these guys dry up, and come back to it soon. Alright, jumping back in. We got some of the tedious stuff done. Now we're going to do some fun stuff, followed by more tedious stuff. So what I'm going to do now is, well, you'll notice on the bases here, there's these little skulls. Kind of, well, actually you probably can't see it that well. But there's these skulls right here and nestled in between the major rocks here. So with those, of course, we're going to hit them up with our Drake's Tooth. That's going to take a couple coats, as it always does. And then we're also going to be doing the energy stuff on these guys. So what that's going to be, well, it's going to be a few things. It's going to be the barrels of the guns here, which I think, yeah, I'll only just do like the middle sections there, including the coils and this tank thing that they got here. And then, of course, one of their eyes definitely needs the treatment on the this faceplate that they kind of have on the right side of their head. That's kind of like the targeting eye. And then these 3 globes on the back on the carapace. I think I'm also gonna do those up in with the energy stuff. And for that, we'll start with a layer of white. And then I'm also gonna do the wash on both of those parts, but I will tap into that a bit later. So for now, let's go ahead and get these. I'll move these out of the way. I'll start with the skulls. Let's get some of these base colors down. Okay, got some hard to get sections done. It is a little bit sloppy, but it won't really matter. And the reason that I did what I'm about to do first is because I can always clean up later after the fact. So now what I'm going to do, put these aside. So starting with the skulls, I'm going to hit them with our fancy Agressive shade, get that nice bone shade in there. And I'm not really worried about the rocks too much because I'm eventually going to go over everything with more stuff anyway, so that's not a big deal. And then for all the white areas that I did here, I'm going to really make them stand out with our Hex Wraith Flame. That's going to give us our nice green glowy effect. So, you've already seen this before, so let's go ahead and... Alright, these guys are starting to look good here. Give this a nice, get myself put away. So, yeah, you can see we got some detail on the guns. there, nice green glowing effect. Doesn't really show up as well as in the light. And then of course on the back, on the skimmer back. So the next thing I'm going to do off camera actually is going to go ahead and clean up everywhere that I kind of spilled the white on to get ready for the next phases. And that's going to be doing like the inner mechanics and the actual, I guess, vehicular shell. I don't really know what to call it to differentiate it from the normal body. And as you can see, we added some detail to the skulls in the base here. And then eventually I'm going to do the same with the rocks as well. But for now, that's all I'm doing. We'll let this dry, and we'll come back to it soon. Okay, so we've been making some progress on these guys. What have I done so far? Oh yeah, I got the blue or the skin down on our nice glowing effects, and then something I also didn't show you before is the undercarriage here wasn't completely primed or whatever, so I went ahead and dealt with that in the interim. So what I want to do now is, well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a head start on the bases here. And, or, well, not a head start. I already got a head start, actually. That's stupid. But continue on a little bit with the bases. So what I'm going to do now is, well, the first thing you'll notice is that each one has like this little piece of rebar that's sticking out of the rocks. So I'm going to go ahead and go in and do those up real quick with a gunmetal. It's very small. And then also at the same time, you will also notice that two of these have a couple little teeny tiny scarabs that are crawling along the rocks. So I'm going to go ahead and prepare to do those by going back in with my matte black and giving them, making them black, because now I could just paint over them with any other color, but in my case, since the scarabs are technically made of like they're like the canoptic building materials in carapace, the base color is black anyway, so it makes sense to go ahead and do them up with black. The only difference is going to be the legs, which I will also do up in a second here, but we'll get to that in a minute. So I'll do the gunmetal and the black right now. Let's go ahead. Pull my shit up again. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, a couple of small, tiny little details done up there. And now, what I'm actually want to do next, aside from putting that away, is I also want to go ahead and get started on the base texture for these guys, which, as you'll remember, what I've been doing for these guys is like like snow over rocks, or yeah, like rocky ground. Let's see, here's the one I want. So, in order to do that, I first go with our rough gray pumice from Vallejo Texture, and that is going to give us a nice textured rocky feel to the bases. And part of the reason I'm doing this is because this stuff takes a while to dry, so I want to go ahead and get it out of the way. And especially, it's especially easy in this case since the actual dudes aren't. I don't have to have them attached to the base to really paint them, so I can just kind of set them aside, do this, and that's what I'm going to do now. So here we go again. think that's enough to get what I want out of these bases. And, well, as you remember, hold on. You may remember that these, well, it looks very white right now, but whenever this pumice stuff dries off, it'll turn darker and almost be the same color as the gray underneath. Partially because it'll go from opaque like this to semi-translucent, so I'll actually be getting some of the color from underneath. And so what I'm going to do actually is I forgot to refill my water here, so take a quick break. I'm going to let these guys dry off, and then I'll come back and start working on some more on the actual dudes here. So stay tuned.
Are you listening to this show and thinking, man, I'd like to start a podcast, but I don't even know where to start? Well, Buzzsprout has the answers for you. Buzzsprout is a podcast hosting service that provides a number of valuable resources to help you on your podcasting career path. For one, Buzzsprout offers indefinite hosting of all your episodes and allows you to host as much material as you want, depending on the type of subscription that you opt for. Buzzsprout also provides a means for getting your show hosted to every major podcasting platforms such as iTunes, Pandora, Spotify, you name it. In addition, Buzzsprout also provides various means to get your show monetized through various sponsorship and affiliate programs, links to other paid hosting platforms such as Patreon and YouTube, and your own personal newsroom to learn all the tips and tricks for optimizing your podcast for the greatest return on your investment. If you're hearing all this and you're still interested, you can go to my link below and receive an Amazon gift card for starting a podcast hosting subscription that you'll receive on the second billing period of your podcast journey. Everyone has something to share, and there's no time like the present. Join Buzzsprout today.
Alright, I'm back. I put the bases off to the side because they're still wet, and it's only been... This time I actually came back like in a minute, so... As opposed to, actually being back like the next day or whatever. But what I'm about to do next is going to take some time to dry as well. So, what I'm going to do now is work on the inner mechanics of these guys. And what that's going to be is, it's a little loose, but... So, to do that, we're going to start with our rough iron. It's like a very corroded brownish metal type of color. It's got a little bit of a sparkle to it though, so it's still a metallic paint. And what that's going to be on is it's going to go on, well, our boy's spine and midsection, kind of here, you can't really see it that well. Or central core spine, as well as his rear control spine here. Back of the head, all the joints in the arms, all three arms. And then of course, on the bottom, it's going to be like the engines and this entire thoracic spine, or whatever you would call it, underneath, as well as in the middle up top. The gun itself, I'm going to leave black because that's going to be the same as the like the carapace type of not shit. That's the best word I could describe for it, just the carapace. So the gun is going to be done up the same as the shell of the hover thingy that he's attached to. And that's going to be for all three of these guys. So, oh, this thing keeps dropping out on me. So yeah, put this away. Got my water all set. Starting off with the rough iron. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right. So we got some of our inner mechanics done. And you might, well, actually you didn't see, but the goddamn paint all squirted all over the place. So I'm actually going to take a quick break and cleanse my palette, so to speak, quite literally. And I will be right back, and we'll continue on these guys. Alright, picking up from before. Got my palettes and stuff all cleaned up. So now we can continue on with these guys. So what I want to do now is, well, you kind of see where I did the inner workings already. It's almost, bleh, ooh, excuse me. It's that rough iron. It almost looks black in the camera here. And then off camera, actually, I went ahead and applied Agrax Earth Shade to all of these areas. Kind of dulls it out a bit, and it gives me a little bit more detail, especially in the recesses and stuff. But now I'm going to work on the highlights, and what that's going to be done is by, or how that's going to be done, I should say, is by dry brushing on our true copper. It's not quite, well, it's copper basically, and that's going to give us a little bit more light, is that the right word? Yeah, light, I guess, on the edges. So especially like the spines and stuff here, you'll see all of these ridges and, well, spines actually show up a little bit better. Same around kind of the engines and stuff like that. So I'll go ahead and pour some of this out. Not too much, hopefully, this time. And we'll get started. Alrighty. Got some edges done. Let's see if I can... Well, let's see if you can see it from where you're at on the camera here. It's just not... It doesn't really stand out a whole lot, but... You know, take my word for it. There's a little bit more brightness down here in the undercarriage. So, let's see. What do I want to do next? Next up, my shit's blowing up over here. Okay. So now we're going to get into... let's see. I'm not going to do the blues yet because I just washed my dry brush. What I am going to do is we're going to be getting into our Turbo Dork stuff. That's our incident color paint. Now you remember I've been using this radium color for more of the gold, some like the more regal elements, aka like the shoulder pads. Well, yeah, in this case it's going to be these big ass shoulder pads. The plate that's kind of covering half their face, the targeting plate, and then the sternum piece. And when I say that this paint's special, if you haven't seen already, what this paint uses is incident angles to basically color shift depending on the angle that you're looking at the surface that's painted. So in this case it goes from like this dark fool's gold type of color to basically like our dark green black once you get at an extreme angle. And well, you have a better idea of what I'm talking about once I get into it. So let's go ahead and pour some of this out and get started. Alright. He's lose my voice if I don't talk. So, as you can see, we got some it's very strokey looking. It is hard to get an even coat with this stuff. But, like I said, I got some gold elements on there, and as you can kind of see, depending on the angle that we're looking at, it's a slightly different color mainly. If you look at the shoulders there, see it goes from like that gold color to kind of like a dark blackish green towards the top, and then now the bottom when I do this. And then also the light reflecting kind of makes things different. Let's see, so I'm going to put the dudes themselves off to the side here. And let's go ahead and get just a little bit more done on the bases. And it's not going to be anything too crazy. Where did I have this? So what I'm going to do with the bases now is just kind of fill in or start adding some more detail and stuff. And basically I'm just going to cover the whole thing in Null and Oil, except for the little skulls that I have in the middle there. They're going to stay their colors, but the rest of this is going to be done up with Null and Oil, and then it'll be ready to, add even more highlights and stuff later. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, got some more work done on the bases there. As you can see, it'll look better once this all dries, which is what I'm going to go ahead and let the stuff do, is dry off, and we'll continue soon. Okay, so we're coming pretty close to the end of working on our destroyers here. Oof. Stuffy nose. There's only a few details left, so the first of those details I'm gonna address is finishing up the color on the guns and the platform. And what that is, as you may remember when I do like more of the canoptic stuff, what I've been doing with that is leaving it black and then dry brushing some of our electric blue around the edges. So that gives us a nice, edgy blue look. So what I'm gonna go ahead and that's also going to apply to these little scarabs that are on a couple of the bases, not this one. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick, starting with the big guys here. Actually, I'll start with the scarabs. Get that out of the way, and then we'll move on. Got some blue highlights done. And everything still looks more or less the same color. Or blackish. Let's see, give you a better view. Kind of a better view. I know that lighting's kind of shit around here. But, so we got some blue edges kind of going on around the, there we go. Yeah, I'm getting too much light coming off the desk here. That's okay. So, blue edges kind of around the flying base. And the gun, as well as a little bit on the bases here. So, now these dry brushes take a minute, a little bit to dry off. So what I'm actually going to do is, I'm going to move on to the next couple elements that I need to do. Actually, so what I want to do now is the pipes and the cables, which there aren't really a whole lot of. Let me see, I think. Yeah, okay, this is going to be easier than I thought. So, the cables are going to be red, and what that consists of is that's going to be this big one that's going from the gun to the gun. Quite literally, it's going to itself. And then also the non-targeting eyeballs that are on the face. So like you can kind of see he's got the faceplate on the right side of his head, but then the other side is just kind of like the regular Necron head. So that eye is going to be red as opposed to the green that I have here. And then of course there's a cable right here alongside the face. That's also going to be red. I will do that, and then also, and then that's going to be done with, I don't need this anymore. Where'd you go? Pure red. That's our nice bright red color. And then at the same time, or immediately after that, I'm also going to get into some of the other cables that I've got. And that's going to be this coiled one that's also on the gun underneath the cable that's going to be red. And then also, you can't really see it that well, but right here in front, you can kind of see there's a couple of thicker cables, like right here. They go from the body to one of these repulsor engines up in the front. Those are going to be all done with ash gray. And then as soon as I'm done with that, I'm also going to go ahead and dry brush over the bases, also with ash gray, to start bringing out some like the rocky details and stuff like that, primarily in the the textured paint that I did, but also the edges in the big rocks and stuff here. And I'm just gonna all do that in one shot, starting with the stuff here, because that'll give my dry brush time to paint. And by the time I get to the bases, it should be nice and dry, and I should be able to do it without any issues. But I'm gonna start with the red first. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. Details, more details done. We got our grays done. I'll show you some more in a sec. I don't need the dry brush anymore, so we're done with that at least. There's really only a few there's a couple things left that I need to do on these guys. So, as you can see, we got a little bit more texture on the bases here. And we got these pipes done. There's also some kind of underneath the ribcage that I forgot to mention earlier, but you can't really see them that well anyway. But pipes done, eyes done, stuff like that. Let's see a little bit closer. So what I need to do, the last thing I need to do on these guys is apply some, where is it? Get our Nuln oil back. Don't need this anymore either. And this is going to go on the gray pipe sections that we just finished. So that's going to be the one under the gun here. These two kind of connecting the repulsors to the waist. And then, of course, the ones, again, under the chest. Once again, that's going to be done with Nuln oil. And then, in order to finish out the bases, I just need to add our snow effects. So, once again, snow will come second. I'll do this first. We'll do it all in one shot. And I'll show you how it looks like when I'm done here. So, here we go. Alright, so all the painting is done on these guys. All I really need to do now is get the shit attached to their bases. So first, let me go ahead and clean up here. And this is going to be really pretty simple. I also did not, you notice on the bottom, there's like this peg. And this section is kind of like a rock, but I'm just leaving it black because it doesn't really, you're not really going to see it. And what I'm going to do now is just get some super glue. And we'll just start doing this, applying a little bit. And there's, come on. There's our first heavy destroyer. Applied. Number two, I gotta be careful because the snow is still wet, as you may have noticed earlier. Oh, there we go. That one slid in nicely. And last but not least, number three. Maybe. There we go. Yep. One full squad of heavy destroyers ready to go. Give us a nice better view. Hell yeah, those guys are looking nice. Ready to blow shit up. And that's it for that. So let's come up. So once again, that's another episode of the Ponchos Paint Booth. I almost said Jankety Ass Podcast, which is not what this is. But it is. If you can find it here, if you haven't already done so, go to the corner, like, subscribe to my page, Multi-Murdy Media. You will get this playlist, Poncho's Paint Booth, where we do up cool guys like these heavy destroyers, for example. And you will also get the Gutsy S Gamer playlist, which is my video games and playthrough and stuff like that. As of this recording, this one's coming out today. So this weekend, you will find my new playlist is starting for Assassin's Creed Odyssey playthrough. So episode 1 is going to be this Saturday, which is also my birthday, the 2nd. And let's see, I've got 12 episodes already in the bank, and they'll be coming out every Saturday. And I got some more that I'm already working on. So, and last but not least, you will also get the video format to the Jankety Ass podcast, which is my podcast with me and Tom and my buddy Tom. Hopefully more later. We'll see. I haven't figured that out yet, or if you would rather listen to the podcast, it's available to listen to on every major podcasting platform and a few other ones in between. So your iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, all that stuff. And if you stay tuned to the end, you will get the links to all my socials and all my stuff. So that's going to be Multi-Murdy Media on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and .com. It's a website where you'll also get all the links, and you will get the gallery to all the stuff that I've done here on the show and some of my works outside. So as always, this is only, let's see, I've got a bunch more Necron stuff coming up that I'm working on, and I got a bunch more, just other stuff that I'm working on. You're also going to see me do some more stuff from the Space Marine range, especially as the Black Templars are coming out, which I am actually going to be playing myself in the game. So I'm going to be working on that stuff. And, well, for the meantime, thanks for watching as always, and I got more on the way, so stay tuned.